Hey guys, so this is not how I usually film my videos standing up. I'm feeling a little weird, but we have a whole bunch of stuff going on right outside the front of our house. So if I get set up over there, you'll just hear trucks and trailers, tractors, whatever. So I was sitting down and writing out my list of ideas, things I wanted to say about 5 in a row, and going through some of the questions that I got from you guys online. I asked on Instagram if anybody had any questions about 5 in a row because I wanted to do a flip through and make sure I covered all the bases. I get asked quite often anytime I show anything about 5 in a row if I will share how I plan or share info on it or why we chose it. And basically 5 in a row, it means so much to my family. I feel like my kids are gonna be, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give all of my kids a copy of Cranberry Thanksgiving when they have kids because it seriously means so much to me. Some of the memories, all of the best memories that I have in homeschooling, most of them at least, have to do with 5 in a row. I started using 5 in a row when Isabella was 4 years old, which technically she was at the age to be using before 5 in a row, but we went ahead and we lightly rode 5 in a row because I wanted more than just like preschool style. I wanted to begin with some math and things like that. First time parent at the time, but it worked. We modified. I just really love it. The idea behind it is that you read, there's a list of books. I have my books right here. I have volumes 1 and 2. There are lists of books inside, and then the idea behind it is that you read the same book 5 days in a row. It's children's books, Madeline and Cranberry Thanksgiving, How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World, Papa Piccolo, like all these great classic books. You read through them every day, and then each day that week, in that 5-day school week, you do a different subject. So you do math, you do history, you do science, all related to that title. It really teaches the kids to explore deeper in books. I always really loved it for that reason. Bless you. I always loved it for that reason. It also turned my eyes toward things that I might not have noticed otherwise. And so this is really distracting. I'm really sorry, but I just wanted to say all this instead of writing it down. I thought, well, I'm just gonna chat with you guys about it because oftentimes I'll have a friend who's like, what's 5 in a row all about? And this is how I explain it. So let me gather my thoughts for a second, help Bella get a snack before dance class, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Momming and working at the same time. So that's the way it's set up. All 5 days that week, you're reading from the same title and you're pulling out things, and I promise you'll see during the flip through, it sounds like an easy concept, like, well, then I can row any book. Yeah, technically, but the author of 5 in a row has put in so much effort to pull out detail that you would not have thought of on your own, or maybe you're super like incredibly talented and creative, so maybe you would have, but for me, I personally would not have pulled a lot of the things together that she's pulled together, and I wouldn't enjoy it as much if it wasn't laid out for me already. Geography is the #1 thing that I think my kids have really understood because of 5 in a row. We've explored science topics we definitely wouldn't have otherwise. And then just all the memories of them in my lap while we read 5 in a row together. I am so thankful, seriously, so thankful to the Lord that I was turned toward this curriculum when Isabella was little, because I've told you guys so many times that there were many mistakes I made along through the beginning of our homeschooling journey, forcing penmanship at such a young age and just drilling certain things that were not important at 4 and 5 years old. But 5 in a row was such a blessing because there's such a tenderness when I look back on my memories, especially with her. And I appreciate that we had that balance in our homeschool because we had 5 in a row. So I think specifically because of my memories with her, it is a very precious curriculum to our family, but I also then continued 5 in a row with Jessie, who was a reluctant reader, and that encouraged us to read together more often. And then I'm now using it a lot with Eli. I didn't do as well with it last year, but I'm definitely doing it more this year. The way we're currently doing 5 in a row, and you can modify it, of course, however it works for your family. In years past, I've picked a book a month, and I've put, written down all the things I wanted to do, and we've just done it as we could over the course of a month. This year, I'm trying to do 2 books per term. We have 3 12-week terms in our school year this year. That's how I started this year. I was trying to do 2 per term every Friday, making it like 5 in a row Friday. And that's working out well. I mean, it's definitely a way that we can fit it in our schedule right now, but I'm wanting more for Eli. My older 2 kids still really like being involved with it, and they can still be involved in some of the projects, but I'm really kind of wanting to get down on the floor and read with Eli and do some of these activities a little more. So after we wrap up this term, which by the time you're seeing this video, we'll be done with our term, we're gonna have a couple weeks off and start the next term, and I am considering prayerfully how to pull it in more for him while also including my other kids, because it's very much a family curriculum. So I do have one girlfriend who has used 5 in a row for years as well, and that is how we really built our friendship, which is a very deeply rooted friendship now, because we would get together a couple times a month and do a project based on the 5 in a row book that we were reading. We try to align every now and then, and that's the friend who I do Cranberry Thanksgiving with every year. So I'm thankful to also have somebody in our community to be using this curriculum, because it's not a very common curriculum. So that being said, I'm going to flip you around and show you how I plan, as well as give you a flip through and an overview. I hope that answered most of your questions. Just kidding, one more thing. I want to make sure I answer this one. People have asked me when I did that Q&A post how I plan it, because it seems so overwhelming, they just don't have time. I very much keep it simple, and I think simplicity is the beauty of 5 in a row. It's all right there, no need to do further research or get on Pinterest or websites. I literally just do the things that are in the book the 5 days that week, or I did, and now I just do it, you know, on those Fridays. So just very simple. It's, you know, a countercultural thing for nowadays to not over research and have a bunch of projects, but there's a beauty and a trust that I have in this curriculum, and so I've always just kept it very simple. Okay, so I have 5 in a row, volume 1 and volume 2, and these are actually the only 2 that I've ever owned. I have never gone through all the books with one child and needed to get volume 3 or volume 4. Occasionally I'll swap around with one of my girlfriends, like for the Bee Tree, I think is in volume 3. But what's happened is I have done select books from both of these and loved them so much that I'm now repeating them with my younger ones. So if I were to get volume 3 or 4, it would just be for myself. Which I don't see anything wrong with getting a little bit of inspiration by having it fresh and new. But yeah, volume 1 and volume 2 have always been fine for us, and they cover a lot of the books that I'm familiar with from my childhood. So essentially what you get in here, and mine is all marked up, so fair warning. You have the table of contents and then the appendix, introduction. Now I'm a little concerned about showing you every single page, because this is, I think it is in print again, but it was out of print for a while, and I know it can be on the pricier side, so just to be cautious, because I'm not familiar with copyright laws, I'm not going to show you every single page, but I'll go through one of the lessons completely. So you have an introduction, some info about the books. It kind of explains that some books are out of print, so you can get them from the library, etc. How to use 5 in a row. And it kind of gives you an overview of how to use it, which I think I've already explained. If you're seeing this, if I'm editing this the way I think I will. Okay, so then you go through all the different stories they have in here. And then in the end of the book, they have some resources, but the part that my kids love the most are the story discs. So the story discs, the point of these is that after you read each book, so this is the story about Ping, this is Madeline, there's Lentil, let me think, which other ones have we done? How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World. I think this is Grandfather's Journey. This is Papa Piccolo. This one was my favorite. This one was the very first time. I'm about to do that again with Eli. So basically, these are all story discs for the stories that you've read. Occasionally, you'll need to create a story disc if it visits another country, or, you know, a part of the story is in another setting, or if your kids want to design their own. So for these, you copy these, and then you can have the kids color, and you cut them out and you stick it on your 5 in a row map, which is just any map of the world. I have a map of the world, and then on the opposite side is a US map, and so that's helpful because, like, Lentil was set in Ohio, and which other ones? This Cranberry Thanksgiving is set in New England area, and so you'll need to put them on specific locations on the US, but otherwise, like, Papa Piccolo is in Italy, and Very Last First Time is in Canada, so you just stick the discs there. So there's the story discs, and then you have a sample planning schedule if you are going to use it every single day, so that's great because it'll go through seasonally if you're interested. You have lesson planning sheet, which I have not really used, but you have that there. Here's a sample lesson planning sheet if you guys want to pause the video and take a peek at that. Then you have other resources. So this is for the pair of red clogs. Here's the pattern for the rag coat. There aren't a ton of resources because it does a fairly good job of explaining, and then it leaves you room to do any additional research and pull in any resources if you'd like to. They have these different literary glossary elements in a story, some things you might encounter, and then a bibliography of the titles, and then some help with finding the books, and then an index, and then how to integrate 5 in a row with additional curriculum. So it's great. It definitely has some resources if you want to, you know, for the various ways that you may want to do 5 in a row. So I'm going to show you, Madeline is a great one. Okay, Madeline is actually the one I use to explain to people when people ask me how 5 in a row works, because it does such a good job. It's one that has a strong case for every single subject. So for Madeline, the geography is obviously set in France. You can take it to Paris, or you can just do France in general. We love doing Madeline. I've done this one multiple times. Actually, I did this one multiple times with Isabella when she was little. We did it every year when she was 4, 5, and 6. She really likes that one. Social studies, you've got human relationships between the 12 girls, compassion for when somebody is sick, things you can do for somebody who's ill. History, you've got the year it was written, which was 1933, so you can talk about how many years have gone on since then, what happened in the 30s, steam, heat, radiator. I mean, it pulls out things that you might not see. So yeah, 5 in a row is a concept you can carry on with other books, but I just think this is so detailed and really does have a complete early elementary. It covers everything you need, a complete curriculum if you do it, you know, 5 days a week. Language, literary devices. As you can see, I marked this up because we used this one a lot. So some of the literary devices the author uses: poetry, it's one long poem which uses rhyme and rhythm, so practice making rhyming words with your student. Repetition, so there's that. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turns on the light and said something is not right. This line is repeated near the end of the story. Daily discipline, they broke their bread, brushed their teeth, and went to bed. Talk about daily routines. Mention these literary devices after you've read the story. Language, vocabulary, appendix, solemn, and disaster. There's vocab in almost every book. Architecture and art. Now this is because they're street scenes, so facing the last page of the story is a list of Paris scenes. Find a book with photographs of Paris. Together you can match the illustrations to the photographs, so that's a great one. Appreciating variety. So the author illustrated Madeline with a variety of drawings. Some are large, others are small, monochromatic, one color, while others use full color palette. Again, things that my eye does not notice when I'm reading some of these books to the kids. So helping your child appreciate the variety an illustrator can use in one book, have them practice with different variety. The math in this is pretty strong, as well as the science, which is why I really like to use this one, because people will say, I don't understand how 5 in a row can you know, how you can do math with books, or how you can do science with books. So grouping and dividing skills, because it's 12 girls and 2 straight lines. So you've got that. So then you've got relative size and degree, because she was the smallest of the 12 girls. You do biggest and smallest. Symmetry, this is one that we did when Bella was 4, and then again when she was 6, and I definitely saw a difference in her ability to understand. That's a great one because many of the illustrations are symmetrical, so pick an illustration with symmetry. And then science, health. This was obviously because Madeline had her appendix removed, so you go through the digestive system, and this was when I introduced you know, anything as far as anatomy to Isabella when we first did this book. So this was like a beginning venture into that. So that is typically how it's laid out. Let me see if I can think of, well, we did just do lentil. So for geography, it was Ohio, although we actually just have been working on US geography. So we just kind of stuck with our US stuff because we started lentil right after 4th of July. So we were just kind of doing like patriotic stuff. Social studies, you've got human relationships again, disagreeable people, life in a small town, and history, patriotism. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options as far as social studies goes. You don't have to do all of them. You don't have to just do one of them. It's totally up to you. We worked on differences. We did not do disagreeable people, life in a small town. We did not do the soldier monument. We did patriotism, and we did not do, did we do this one? I cannot recall. I don't think so. Literature, elements of a good story. You've got the different elements here. The medium we did, it was charcoal. We also did architecture for art. Musical skill, we did get harmonicas. Mathematics, introduction to fractions. So have your child look at the musical notes on the pages wherever Lentil plays his harmonica. So we did that one. Used a banana for a learning snack. Discuss the concept of whole. Have your student cut the snack in half. Talk about 2 halves make up a whole. So again, I would not have thought of using the illustrations of music notes to bring in math, but there it is. We did taste buds. My kids loved this project. So it talks about the lemon causing lentil to pucker up. And so we went through I actually just took a poster, a big poster board, and I drew a tongue, and then we did some research and labeled different areas of the tongue where they thought they would taste things better after they did a little taste test of the different flavors, you know, some sour, some whatever, umami, is that what it's called? Some sweet, etc. They tasted things and labeled where they thought it was on their own drawing of a tongue, and then we did our research, and then we put a big drawing of a tongue out, and the kids had a great time going through my old magazines and cutting out different foods that were, you know, sweet or sour, etc. So they loved that. Sound and acoustics, this was perfect because they were able to go in our bathroom with their harmonicas. So there's that. So that is essentially what it looks like. Cranberry Thanksgiving is one of our favorites, although we actually no longer follow the book because it's just become tradition to get together, bake cranberry bread, and we've done every single thing in Cranberry Thanksgiving, so we just use Pinterest at this point and do like a little Thanksgiving study, although we still do look at the book every year. If you're interested in the titles, I will show you here the titles that are in book 2. And basically the way that I plan these out is I just take a piece of white printer paper, I make a little list of the different categories, the different subjects, and I'll just go through. Oh, actually here, I'm getting ready to work on Storm in the Night. So we've gone through Storm in the Night many a times, but I just write social studies, language, art, math, science, and then I write supplies. And then usually down here I'll write additional projects because I do on occasion go through Pinterest or go through Delightful Learning blog. I will link her below. She was for the longest time the only additional resource I would look at when it came to 5 in a row. I get overwhelmed by looking at too many resources. I stray far away from the intention of the simplicity of the book itself. She stayed pretty much on trend with the books, but would have some great ideas for how to modernize it or pull a few things in. So it's actually been really cool to connect with her on Instagram now, and we talk back and forth very rarely, but it's like so neat because years and years ago, she was who I very much looked up to, and I still check her blog out all the time when it comes to 5 in a row books that we are rowing. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want to see a flip through of anything else. And if I didn't answer your question and you have more questions about 5 in a row, leave those in the comments below and I will try to come through in a couple days here, or if not the day of. I try to moderate my comments pretty quickly and answer any questions that you guys may have. So if you guys do 5 in a row, let me know what your favorite books are.